Watch and burn.
Hey everyone, so tonight I wanted to discuss Pig Destroyer's first full length, and that is 38 Counts of Battery. And I've decided to discuss pretty much everything in Pig Destroyer's discography, or at least everything that I own. I know they've released a series of EPs throughout the course of time that I don't have any of, so I will most likely refrain from discussing those because I don't know too much about them, and I don't want to sound stupid. So yeah, so 38 Counts of Battery, I think, would have established them as a more traditional sounding grindcore band had they stayed on that path that record suggested that they might. They might have ended up more in the field, more akin to like Regurgitate, for example. And there's absolutely nothing wrong with that. But I find that when I compare 38 Counts of Battery to everything that they've done since, this is by far their weakest offering, which is really saying something, because a lot of times with hardcore, grindcore, power violence, bands like this, their earlier stuff, their first records, are usually like instant classics. Like this is like some of the best material they've ever written and ever released. And a lot of the times after this point, it's either where they just continue to sort of rehash old ideas, or they just keep retreading and retreading. And I think that's where Pig Destroyer might have ended up had they not had so much to say artistically speaking, especially considering that they would release Prowler in the Yard, as their follow-up to this, which pretty much annihilates this record completely, because that record is at the perfect section of chaos and art, somewhere like that's like hits the crossroads of just artistic genius with sort of like chaos, like I said, like just pure insanity, and somehow the two really come together and create a record that's incredibly unique. Whereas with 38 Counts of Battery, it does sort of set them up more along the lines of like a Regurgitate sounding grindcore band, which is good because I love Regurgitate, but I really like what Pig Destroyer would do after this, and especially from that point forward, with Prowler in the Yard all the way through like Phantom Limb all the way up to Head Cage. It would seem like their voices in a more artistic sense would become that much more developed, and their sound would get bigger, and their sense of desire, like what they wanted, would sprawl out so much more. Their tentacles would spread so much further than most every other grindcore, power violence, hardcore band, whatever the fuck you want to call this. I guess it's grindcore, but at the same time, I don't really know if this applies entirely to grindcore. But with 38 Counts of Battery, I mean, there are really great songs on here. My Fellow Vermin's on here. Fingers in the Throat are on here. There's Honeymoon's on here. And 3 Second Apocalypse is on here. Trying to pull these things from memory isn't always easy because these records have like 30 or 40 songs sometimes. And I really like this record, but I find that when compared to everything that they would release after this, it's just sort of lacking in some degree. The production is rougher, the songwriting is still clever, the lyrics are still poetic, and they're still showing that JR has a lot to say, and yet they still feel sort of unfocused and a little more on the raw side of things. And there's nothing wrong with that. But considering that Prowler in the Yard would be their follow-up, there is kind of something wrong with that, because Prowler in the Yard was the follow-up to this, and that's like one of the best records ever released. So I think I'm going to leave it there because I don't want to sort of retread and keep saying how it's good, but it's not great. So if you liked this review of Pig Destroyer's first LP, don't forget to do something nice for somebody. And if you don't, do something nice for somebody anyways. And yeah, I'm going to go. So thanks for hanging out with me. Have a good night. I just wanted to say thank you for making it through the entire video. I really appreciate it. And I'm going to remind everyone one more time, even though I've probably already done this in the video that you just watched, to please click the like button as well as the subscribe button, because it helps this channel grow. And thank you for hitting like and subscribe. And we will see you guys really soon.